While youngsters like Vladdy, Acuna, Tatis, and Ohtani have been absolutely killing it this year, there are plenty of big names who have really been struggling, and their card prices are reflecting it. This week, I'm looking at 10 sluggers looking to come alive after the All-Star break. Welcome back to another Market Movers video. My name is Tyler Nethercott, better known as Teapot, and this week I'm taking a look at 10 players who have so far this year completely disappointed sports card investors, fantasy owners, and frankly probably their teammates too. Let's dive right into it. So one thing that's kind of nice to do if you're in fantasy sports is to be able to quickly look up how a player is performing or which players maybe had a early season very high pre-rank and not such a good rank so far in the season, and then to go and look up their prices to see how much of a correlation there is. And that's what I wanted to do here today. So I'm going to look at 10 players who were ranked very highly in Yahoo's fantasy rankings before the season and who have not lived up to expectations whatsoever. And I'm thinking about investment considerations for these slumping players, specifically a few different factors. First of all, does that player have a track record of success and consistency? If I'm thinking about investing and buying low while their card prices are down, is there something to go off of? Is there some history and proven track record for this player, not only to hopefully bolster their kind of long-term value, their ultimate floor, but also to kind of give me a sign of hope that they're going to be able to make a comeback still this year, hopefully, and if not, at least next year and at some point in their career. Second factor is this year, is their team in the playoff hunt? Are their teammates playing well? Are they having good team success in spite of their poor performance? And finally, no recurrent injuries. I don't want to take any gambles on players that just have injury after injury after injury and can't seem to stay on the field. So the first player that I want to look at is Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts is obviously considered by many to be the second best player over the last, let's say, 5 or 6, 7 years. Basically second to Mike Trout. He has, I think, the second highest WAR in that time period. He's won a couple of World Series with the Red Sox and last year with the Dodgers. And so when I look at Mookie Betts, preseason rank, Yahoo, number 4. Current rank so far, number 113. And so what I did was I looked at the stats so far year to date, and then I looked at their stats last year. And so we've got the number of games they've played, his average runs, home runs, RBA, and his slugging percentage. And what you can see is that Mookie's average is down about 40 points here. In terms of the other numbers, his power is also down. So overall, really a down year for Mookie. Not a terrible season, like definitely not a terrible season, especially when we look at some of the other players who are coming up. But by Mookie Betts standards, definitely a down season and something, that investors have been concerned about as well. So we go and look at his price movements. If we take a look over the last 60 days at Mookie Betts' Topps Chrome update and his Topps update rookie cards, both of them down significantly. You can see that these have both fallen significantly in the last 60 days. His Topps Chrome update is down 35%. His Topps update down 51%. So when I'm looking at cards like this, if I go back and I think about those considerations, Mookie's not injured. He stays relatively fit and healthy. He's on the Dodgers, who are obviously in contention again for the playoffs, although they're in a really tough division. And overall, his prospects look really good with the Dodgers, so I'm not really concerned there. And obviously, he's got an incredible track record of success. So if I'm looking at these prices, I'm strongly considering right now buying Mookie Betts. And one thing I like to do is, you can look at the 60-day history, but then zoom out even more to kind of see where have these cards really been on their journey. And you can see that they were up much higher. In fact, they've just now started to come down to a 180-day low. If I take a look at his actual price, you can see that his Topps Chrome update was up to as high as $2,500, and now it is down around $1,000. So definitely some opportunity with Mookie Betts. If you believe in Mookie Betts long term, I would take a chance and start picking up Mookie Betts now before the Dodgers get hot, before Mookie Betts potentially starts turning it on. Next player on the list is Juan Soto. His Yahoo preseason rank number 5. His current rank 165, so lower than Mookie Betts. And here are his statistics. You can obviously see that the power numbers are down significantly for Soto. His slugging is down drastically from last year. Last year obviously being the shortened season, but his average is down. Pretty much all of his statistics down for Soto. So let's take a look at his cards. All right, so again, over the last 60 days, you can see very similar to Mookie Betts, cards down down 45 to 50%. So what am I doing with a guy like Juan Soto? Again, everybody I know pretty much unanimously agrees Juan Soto is a really special hitter. He's having a down season. The Nationals are struggling quite a bit. They're having a down season. Maybe there's a question of motivation for Soto this year, but ultimately I see a guy like Juan Soto and I just think he's too talented. His prices are down significantly. If you believe in Soto and you believe that the ceiling is, again, let's take a look at 180 days, for example. So you can see that the highs was about 90 days ago, down obviously significantly from then, down lower than their 180-day low. So I think a guy like Soto, again, if you believe in him, is worth taking a chance on. Now, specifically with these cards, with his Topps Chrome and his Topps Update, I would go for the Chrome and pay the premium at $260 over the $144 for the base paper, and it's simply because I'm looking at population counts. The pop count is incredible on this, and I'll show you what the pop count is like on some of these upcoming guys compared to Soto. If you're going to go for kind of a more flagship card, I'd go for the Chrome, or if you can swing it, go for a refractor. I'd probably rather have, like, say, the refractor in a PSA 9 than I would the base Chrome in a PSA 10. But again, overall, I think Juan Soto is a guy that you could look to invest in, especially for the long term. Now, if you don't think he's going to be turning it on anytime soon, then you could basically say, well, I'm going to wait a little bit longer and see, because the Nationals are down. Maybe they keep coming down and there's an opportunity to buy even lower. All right, next on my list, Mike Trout, obviously considered to be one of the greatest of all time by a lot of people, according to WAR metrics and other things. Preseason rank number 7, current rank 272. Look, there's no question. When it comes to Mike Trout, you don't have a lot to worry about. There's a ton of value. Even if he called it quits and said, I'm retiring today, please don't do that. Speaking from somebody who watched Barry Sanders do that at roughly the same age, I'm not interested in him doing that. But if he did, he still has an incredible individual legacy and performance. He's won MVPs. The one thing missing is obviously team success. And everybody, I think, even if they're not Angels fans, maybe everyone but, say, Dodger fans and West Coast people are rooting for Mike Trout to get into the playoffs and to contend and see what he can do. So if we go look at Mike Trout's cards last 60 days, not down as drastically as the other guys that we looked at, down 20%, 29% on his Topps Update paper. If you believe in Trout and you believe in him long term, then obviously now is an opportunity to buy low compared to earlier this year. Really just a no-brainer. These are blue chip investments, and that's always a good thing to have in your portfolio. All right, next up, and I'm going to kind of go rapid fire here on these next few, but Christian Yelich, preseason rank number 9, current rank 453. You can take a look at his stats here. Overall, what is going on with Christian Yelich? He struggled last year. He's struggling this year even more. In terms of power, at least last year hitting 205, he was generating some power with 12 home runs and a slugging percentage of 430. Now he's down to 370. There are guys, with averages up almost around 370. So this is really, really, really abysmal. Current rank 453. Let's take a look at Christian Yelich cards. And surprisingly, Yelich's cards aren't actually down that much from 60 days ago, but part of this could be attributed to the fact that Yelich already was down somewhat significantly. He had that incredible MVP caliber season a few years ago, and since then, the last 2 seasons, he hasn't really been performing as well. Now, fun fact about Christian Yelich is actually he is no stranger to second half turnaround. Now, I'll show you on Baseball Reference that Yelich in the first half of 2018 batted .292 with 11 home runs in 82 games and had a slugging percentage of .459. In the second half, he had probably one of the most historically great second halves of any season by any player. He had an OPS of 1.219, slugged .770, and hit 25 home runs in 65 games. Obviously, this guy knows how to turn it around in the middle of a season. So Christian Yelich, would I invest in him right now? I don't know. It's kind of a coin flip. It's up to you. If you believe that he can still turn it around in his career, maybe. I get a little concerned. Maybe he was too worried about being on ESPN magazine, The Body Issue, or whatever. Something's gone on with Christian Yelich. Maybe he'll end up getting traded or moved to another team and get a kind of renewed sense of commitment. But right now, I'm probably staying away from Christian Yelich just because I'm concerned that this has been going on for a pretty long period of time now. I don't know if he's going to be able to turn it around or not. Next up, Francisco Lindor, preseason rank of 16, current rank 330. Lindor is struggling with the Mets so far this year. Brand new team, brand new scene. I wrote about Lindor actually as my buy pick a few weeks ago for our members, and Jeff even touched on Lindor recently in one of the episodes on the Sports Card Investor channel. Look, I think Lindor is still young. I think he's still got a lot of talent, a lot of promise. His numbers are really down this year. I think his hard hit rate is down. Pretty much everything's down for Lindor. But the consensus across the board that I've been reading from scouts and baseball experts is that they expect Francisco Lindor to turn it around. It's just a matter of time. So, new league, new pitchers, it's tough. I think Lindor will bounce back. Let's take a look quickly at his charts. And again, no surprise, down significantly, in the 30 to 45% range. So if I'm looking at a guy like Lindor here and his Topps Chrome base, remember when we were looking at Soto, he was up in the pop 17,000 range. You have pop 817 and 241 on his Chrome, and the Soto cards were around the same price. So if I'm thinking about investment, if I'm going Soto, I'm probably going something more rare. If I'm looking at which of these cards, in general has the potential to go back up more, I might argue that it's Lindor just based on population count. The talent is there. The Mets are having a good season so far. They're still in first place in the NL East. And so if Lindor can turn it on, maybe there's a chance for the Mets to really solidify their place in the playoffs and to contend for a World Series. All right, Bryce Harper, Yahoo preseason rank number 17, current rank 216. You can see that the power numbers are down for Harper. The average is pretty much stagnant. So let's look at Harper's cards. He's a guy who's won an MVP. He has some personal success, and his card prices are down. If we look at these three, we've got him down 41%. His Topps Chrome, which is low population, is pretty much flat over the last 60 days. I don't know. There's something about Harper that I don't love. He's kind of a love-hate guy. I don't hate him. He's probably not the guy I'm investing in right now. I worry about him. He's got that really, super mega deal contract, and I wondered about his commitment. And so if you're into Harper, you could certainly invest and buy low now. I'm probably going to pass on Harper. All right, next up, Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger still very young. Yahoo preseason rank number 19, current rank 942. Now, Bellinger's been injured, and he's actually coming back this week, slated to make his return. He's only batting 226, and it's kind of been a tale of two Cody Bellingers since he emerged onto the scene. He had that incredible rookie season. He couldn't seem to miss. He was, crushing home runs and breaking rookie season records. And then the next season he was down, and then he's up, and then he's down. So it seems like you never really know which Cody Bellinger you're going to get. Last season he was still generating some power. There's always these reports that people kind of find a hole in his swing, and they're able to adjust, and pitchers are able to pitch around him. We'll see when Bellinger comes back, a nice string of at-bats in the second half of the season. Let's take a look at his cards. So last 60 days, actually Bellinger's not down too terribly much in the last 60 days. If we zoom out to the last 180, that's where you're going to see that Bellinger's cards actually went up pretty significantly in February. And again, it was odd this year a little bit. This is back in the kind of January through into early March when people were really starting to buy a lot of baseball cards, and so the prices kind of got driven up. Bellinger's a guy that I personally still believe in. I think he's got a ton of upside. He's demonstrated incredible ability at the plate, and I think it's just a matter of time before he starts turning it on again, and he's super streaky. So in terms of just a guy that you might look to sell opportunistically when he gets hot, you can see what his prices are capable of doing if he does that. They're pretty much flat over 180 days, but they did have this peak back in here. So Bellinger, depending on how you're mixing up your portfolio, he's not the number one guy I would pick. His card prices haven't really dropped that significantly in the last 60 days, but definitely some opportunity with Bellinger. All right, Anthony Rendon. Now, Anthony Rendon, you remember there was all the debate about whether or not the Nationals were going to re-sign Rendon, or they were going to try to keep Scherzer or Strasburg, or, what were they going to do? Preseason rank number 26, current rank 714, and the Rendon experiment with the Angels hasn't really worked out too well. He wasn't awful last season. He hit 286 and he slugged almost 500, but this season, slugging down to 348. That's pretty much outright abysmal. Only 17 runs scored and 4 home runs in 47 games so far. Let's see what's going on with Rendon's cards. And really, it's pretty low population on his Topps Chrome base, only 46, so it's not selling. But his Topps update paper, popped 1216. Down over the last 60 days, you can see some volatility, and ultimately it is down 42% over the last 60 days. I'm not buying Rendon. He's a little bit older. And it just seems like he may have kind of turned a corner. There might not be any coming back for Anthony Rendon in terms of his performance. Many other players out there I'd rather be buying other than Anthony Rendon. All right, Luis Robert is the next one, number 9 on our list. 2 more to go. We got Yahoo preseason rank number 31 and Yahoo current rank 794. He's been out with an injury. He's only played 25 games so far this year, out with a hip injury, expected to miss quite a bit of time, but it's still possible to come back, I think sometime maybe in August projected. So far this year, kind of a tale of 2 seasons for Robert. Last year struggled to play with his average, but he did generate power with 11 home runs. This year, 316, only 1 home run in 25 games, but slugging actually slightly up because of his overall performance, a few more doubles and a triple. So overall, not a bad season for Luis Robert so far in terms of overall, play. Encouraging to see that he can get his average up, and obviously a guy with his athleticism, you expect to have power and to be generating that power. If we take a look at his cards, we'll see that Robert's cards are actually down, right around 50%, 55% over the last 60 days. I think now is a great opportunity to be buying Luis Robert if you believe in him, especially be buying the Topps Chrome base over the paper. Not much more to say about Robert, except that if he comes back, he could inject even more life into an already extremely dangerous Chicago White Sox lineup. The White Sox are absolutely on fire and looking amazing. So if Robert comes back, he could be at the front end of that lineup, be another threat for the White Sox. All right, last on our list, number 10, Alex Bregman, Yahoo preseason rank number 32, current rank 155, and overall, just a disappointing season so far from Bregman. Not terrible numbers, but he's been playing. There are no injuries. He's just not generating the performance that you might expect from a guy like Alex Bregman, especially with a bit more history. I did say before the season in another video that I did that I wasn't buying Bregman, that I was a little bit concerned about him. Let's go take a look at his card prices over the last 60 days. You can see that actually his prices are down 43% on his paper and 35% on his chrome. And now here's the interesting thing. Much lower pop counts back on that 2017 class. His chrome at 921. $50 for a PSA 10 on a pop 921 for a guy like Alex Bregman. Compare that to somebody like Juan Soto. We saw the pop 17,000 on his Topps paper base, and the price being about 4, 5, 6 times higher than Bregman's. Now could be a time, especially when you consider the cost to grade cards, to get in on Bregman. It's hard to see these cards going much lower. I don't really see this paper going down below $35 anytime soon, and I wouldn't see this chrome going down below $45 really anytime soon. So the upside is there. These could shoot up around $100 if Bregman starts to turn it on. Now could be a good time to buy Alex Bregman. All right, so just to recap, let's take a look at this list, and I want to show you one kind of interesting comparison. So these are all the guys that we looked at, their prices over the last 60 days. You got Bellinger at down 14%, all the way down to Anthony Rendon, down 46% collectively on the cards that we have in Market Movers. Let's compare this to the baseball players who are up the most over the last 60 days and go through this list very, very briefly. Jordan Walker, Gunnar Henderson, Nick Pratto, Vidal Brujan, you got Shohei, Brett Beatty, Ronnie Mauricio, Alek Manoah, Jesse Winker, who's been a great story this year, Anthony Volpe. So all of these names, Nolan Gorman, if I'm coming down through this list, Corbin Carroll, all prospects, almost all prospects, almost all guys who have not even played in the majors so far are the ones who are up the most. Really interesting. I don't know if there's something to take away from that, say going into next season, to say, wow, the players maybe who get all the hype before this season are the actual MLB players, and maybe the minor leaguers, the prospects, are sort of lagging behind the main stars. There might be some opportunity to think forward into next season for something like that. But the other part is that's kind of freaky to say that none of these players have played yet. They're all tearing it up in the minors, and now their prices are up significantly. I always like to go back to that cautionary tale. Take a look this week at some of these massively big name players and see what can happen to their prices, and then go and look at these guys who haven't done anything yet on a major league level and see their prices continue to go up. Always take that into consideration. Weigh the opportunity costs. Obviously the prices on some of these cards for these players aren't up that high yet. Some of them are, and I really wouldn't be paying those prices if it were me personally. That's all I've got for you this week. I hope that this was interesting. What other players are you considering, or who has disappointed you so far that you might be looking to buy? Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. And if you're interested in market movers, please visit www.marketmoversapp.com. It's the most comprehensive sports card database in existence. We're always making new features and putting in new cards every week, thousands of new cards every week. In fact, if you have any questions, you can email us at help@sportscardinvestor.com. And until next time, happy investing.